Hi, Facebook family. Welcome. Today is day 2 of the 5 steps to saying I quit. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're watching it live, come in. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching the recording, well, thank you for watching the recording. So, we're going to get started in about 3 minutes because I hopped on early to make sure everything was going okay. We've got thunderstorms going on here, so I wanted to make sure that I could get on and there were no problems. So I decided to get on a couple minutes early just to make sure. So I want to make sure I have everything going. So I hope you guys are having a really, really good night. If you watch the recording, make sure that you guys comment in the group, and I'm going to put the link for the group as well so that I can hear what you guys think, any questions that you have, anything that's going on for you. So I'd love to hear your feedback on that. So definitely post that in the group. There we go. Yeah, we'll get started in about 2 minutes. I was about to say I'm really excited about tonight's topic we're covering, but you know, I'd say that about every night. So, so that really kind of a little bit pointless, but I really do love tonight's topic too. So it is kind of funny to say. Yeah, I've got multiple devices going on here, so trying to work it all out. Let's see. Making sure that it's all going correctly. There we go. Make sure I'm sharing this in the right places so that everybody can watch. Alrighty. Excellent. There we go for that one. So if you guys are watching, let me know. How are you doing tonight? What's going on for you? I'd love to know if you guys are having a good night too. There we go. All right. All right. Let me go back to where I was. Trying to do multiple things at one time is kind of funny. So we shall see how this goes. But yeah, so tonight we're going to talk about, you know, the step 2 and all of this, and, you know, really want to make sure that people who want to leave their job have the skills, have the tools. Hey, sweetie, how are you doing? You're at work. So yeah, want to make sure that people who really are tired of their job, who are fed up with the situation that they're in, really can move on. And because I'm only doing this for 5 days, I'm going to cover the major areas and the major steps that you need to take to get yourself prepared and ready to leave your job. Obviously, I can't go into the details of everything in 5 days. That would be asinine and ridiculous. But also, too, everybody's situation is different. So it would be really in bad taste and bad form for me to give you some specifics and they don't apply to everyone. So the 5 areas that I am going to cover really will apply to every single person. And so that's what I'm going to cover in these 5 days. And of course, the videos are short, so I can't get into but so much because the videos are short. I'm so glad you are, sweetie. Glad you're feeling a bit better. So let's jump in tonight and get right to it. So, you know, step 2 for me, and here's the deal with the steps. Let me say this too, because I didn't say this yesterday, is that you can do these steps in any order you feel. You know, I'm one of those people, I like to flow. I don't like too much box. I don't like too much restriction. So I've set it up so that you can flow and do the steps in any order that you desire that fits for you. So let me just put that out there first. So step number 2 tonight that we're going to cover is connection to the divine. And I use the word the divine, I use the word God, I use the word spirit, I use the word creator. You can use whatever word is most comfortable for you. That's not really the big deal of this. That's not really the point. The point is that you connect to a being that's greater than yourself. And you may be thinking, well, why is that important when it comes to quitting your job? I'm going to do the short version of this, and hopefully not get on my soapbox, but so much. But here's the deal. We don't know everything. I don't care how old we are. I don't care what we've experienced. We don't know everything. So we really need some divine guidance. We really need some help, especially making a decision like leaving a job. Because one, it's scary for anyone who's deciding, okay, I'm going to leave a job and I'm going to start a business. I'm going to start a whole new career. That in itself is overwhelming at times and it's daunting, right? So we need some extra guidance. We need some really sure footing to stand on. And there's nothing surer or more safe than God and the divine, right? Totally nothing safer than that. And so a lot of times, traditionally people tend to go to the divine or God when things are really horrible and really bad and like, please save me from this, please save me from that, right? But here, what I'm talking about is building that connection with the divine. Because as you take these steps to leave this job and do something like stepping into your purpose, into what you were called here to do, it is going to feel challenging. Fears are going to come up. There are times that you are going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like, I don't know if I can do this. I think this might have been the wrong move. You are going to need that divine guidance to stay the course, to stay steady. They say, hold on to that unwavering hand. You're going to need that. And so the key with that is you've got to have a relationship with the divine, because you don't want to wait until you're scared and you're nervous and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. So now let me pray, or now let me talk to the divine or the creator. You may not be able to discern or understand or hear the divine's voice at that moment because you're so much in fear. So we need to build a relationship with the divine before we get into fear. So this is why I say you need to build this relationship before you quit the job, before you hand in the resignation. You need to be able to have this relationship with the divine and to be able to hear the voice, to hear the guidance. Like I said, I'm not going to get on the soapbox, but I can stand up here and do testimony for like hours. But seriously, the divine is what is going to guide you in the right direction. There's no other human being that you can go to that's 100% right all the time. The divine is a being that always is right, always knowing. So why not go to that being? Why go to a person, a middleman, who may have just as many fears and as problems as you do? It doesn't make sense. So that's why we need to build this relationship with the divine, because it's so crucial. It's going to help us when we're in fear. We're going to know what to do because we're going to be able to discern and know what the guidance is telling us to do. How do we do that? How do you know God's voice, right? Because it's easy to say that. But how do you know God's voice? And for different people, it's going to be different things. It's going to be so different. So I can't get into giving you specifics of that. But what I will tell you is if you do different practices, and I'm going to give you some examples of things that you can do. If you do practices over and over and over again, you're going to start to what I call build that muscle of being able to know God's voice in whatever form that it comes for you. So I want to tap a little bit into intuition tonight, right? Because that's our internal guidance. To me, I call it that straight connection to the divine. That's what my intuition is for me. It's that straight connection to the divine. And so we need to build up that muscle of our intuition. And there's, clairvoyance, if you've heard of that before. And we call it the clairs because there's different type of clairs. And so you need to practice some things and try some things out because each of us is gifted in different ways. And you may have more than one of the clairs that work for you. But you need to figure out which one is strongest in you, which one comes easiest for you. So one of the clairs is that we talk about that you may hear God's voice. You hear that soft, still voice that everybody talks about. And so when you ask a question or after you pray, you hear that voice, that still voice. That's hearing. Some people hear God's voice from that, and they get their intuition strongest that way. Other people may see things. They may see visions or just pictures, snapshots of things. So they have the visual, and that comes to them. Like they may sit in prayer, or they may sit in meditation, and all of a sudden a picture comes to them, and they know what that guidance means, and they know what they need to do. Other people, it's a feeling. They feel a certain kind of way. And so they ask a question, whether it's meditation, whether it's outside walking in nature, and they ask the question and they get this feeling. And the feeling tells them what to do. That's their way of really tapping into that intuition. Another way is the knowing. It's just this overall kind of presence that when you ask the question, you just get this knowing of, yeah, and it doesn't come from your head. And that's the strongest one for me a lot of times, is the knowing and then feeling. But it's just this thing of, yep, this is it. And you just can't even put your finger on it, as they say, but it's the thing I know, like I know, like I know. There's no questioning, there's no wavering about it. So I would give you kind of a game, right? It's a little kind of trick that you can do to kind of test out your intuition, to kind of tap into God's voice in a very playful way. So do something very simple. Think of a color, right? Be in your home, think of a color, and it's like, okay, I'm thinking of this color. And then go outside and see what happens. You will start to see that color show up in different things, in different ways. It'll pop into your vision, or you'll turn around and something will say turn around, and you'll happen to turn around and that color will be right there. Play that game for a little while until it starts to get stronger, until you start to feel the connection, till you start to realize, wow, there's my intuition, there's the guidance. I asked to see this color, I asked to see this object. Play around with the game because it's fun. There's no harm in it, but it's a way to build a muscle, and it's a very simple way. People talk about meditation. That's another way to get in touch with the divine. The key is meditation takes practice and discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. So for some people, it's challenging to do what we call traditional sitting meditation. But there's other versions of meditation. You can Google it. There's walking meditations that work well for some people. Some people with meditations, instead of just being still and silent, they like to chant, because the repetition over and over again helps them get rid of the chatter in their brain. So those are some ways that you can connect with the divine. Other simple ways are doing spiritual baths. If you don't know how to do spiritual baths, you can send me a message, and we can have even a conversation about it. Like I said, I'm offering connection calls, and I'll go into that in a minute. But I can give you some information about how to do those. And that's a way to connect with some energy and connect with the divine. Another really cool thing, making sure I give you guys all of this, is checking in with your body. Like when we talk about intuition, there's an internal guidance system that we have. You ever go somewhere and you walk into a room and it just doesn't feel right? Like you can feel it in your gut, in your stomach, that this isn't right. That's your intuition. That's your God guidance telling you. And so at this stage of your life, because you're making this major transition, you want to strengthen that muscle, because you want to know, should I be going this way? Is this my purpose? Is this what I need to do? Is this the new business that I need to start? Is this when I need to leave this job? It's so important to have that guidance, because as these things come up, your fear is going to raise. And so you need that clear faith. And you get that, the divine, that clear knowing the divine is going to give that to you. We don't always have that when we're in scary situations, when we're making transitions in our life. So having that connection with the divine is going to bring that together for you. It's going to give you the guidance that you know. It's like, oh, if the divine tells you, you know there's no problem. There's no mistakes that are going to happen. You can ask friends and you know, well, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But the divine, there's no question about it. So in this time, you need to have that connection. You need to be focused so that you can get done what you want to get done. The other thing is a lot of times we focus in on the future, and especially if you're in this position of changing jobs and wanting to quit, you're going to be like, okay, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the future? You know, because when I tried to do something before and you go from the future to the past, from the future to the past, and you don't stay in the present. Well, here's something that you need to know is when we stay in the past or the future, we're not in the present and we can't hear the divine guidance. We can't get that connection to the divine because there's too much going on around us. So you need to stay in the present to hear the guidance, to hear the answer to your prayer, to your meditation, to your question, whatever that is for you, however you present that. But you can't be somewhere else and get the answer in the now. You gotta be in the now to hear the answer because that's where you're quietest, that's where you're stillest. That's when you're gonna get the information that you need. So some other tips for you guys to connect with the divine is journaling. You know, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you can write in your journal a question and then just start writing. As answers come, just start writing. Don't filter them, just write whatever comes and keep going until you feel that you're finished and be like, okay, there's nothing else. And then go back and read what it says. But that's a simple way. Being out in nature, walking, just clearing your mind of the chatter is a great way to connect. Meditation, I talked about. There's tons of different ways to meditate. How about breathing? Taking those deep breaths and focusing in on the breath is another way to clear the chatter. Because here's this situation. If you're at work and something's really going on and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on and you're like, God, what do I need to do? Sometimes you can't get out of it. You can't get out of a meeting. You can't get out of the room, but you can breathe. And so if you take those deep breaths and you just focus in on those breaths to clear away some of that chatter so that you can hear the divine guidance in that situation, in that moment. That's something that you can do anywhere you are. And the simplest thing to do is check with your feelings. I don't mean your head. I don't mean the ego that's chattering on. I mean your feelings. Does it feel right? Even if you're still scared, does it feel right? You know, feelings are a great guidance system if you're tuned in. Use them. God has given us all these amazing tools to connect with Him, to connect with ourselves, which that internal part of us that's connected to Him. Use it. Absolutely use it as often as you can, as much as you can. You know, I like to say be greedy with God. Totally be greedy with the divine. Because we need to. Because there's so much we don't know. There's so many things playing out that we can't see that are going on that are working in for our good. So we need to tap into the divine as much as we can. And I want to offer the same thing I did last night. So for any of you who are in my group, if you join from Wishing to Manifesting, you saw it at the beginning and I'll post it here again, is that if you join my group, I will have in there a link to my calendar. If you have any questions about connecting to the divine, you can say, hey, LaShonda, look, I tried this before. I can't seem to get it. I'm not sure if I'm this. I'm not sure if this is going on for me. And you want some help kind of deciphering that. Sign up for what is called a connection call with me. And we can sit down on this call and we can talk it out and I can help you get more clarity about what's going on and how to tap in to your divine guidance for you. I can give you that personal kind of clues and tips and practices that you can do. I can't do that in general, obviously, on Facebook Live, but I can do that if you set that up with me. So if you're interested, you have to join my group because I told you guys I'm not putting that public because I don't want anybody and everybody just signing up to spend time and maybe wasting my time. So I'm going to put it in my group. If you're interested, the call is free. There's nothing that goes on the call except you set the agenda. You say, hey, LaShonda, I want to talk about this. And that's what we do. And that's it. It's just that simple. But it's my gift to you to help you out through this process. I've been there. I've quit my job. I know what that's like. I know how scary it is. I know how challenging it is. to be in that predicament, when you have a calling that's calling you, that's speaking to your heart, but yet you have responsibilities that you need to take care of. So you've got this thing going on inside. I so know what that feels like. So like I said, if you're interested, you can join my group, and I will have the link in my group, and all you need to do is just sign up there and we will connect on the phone. Guys, have a great night. We're going to do number 3 tomorrow. I'm excited about number 3. Like I said, I love them all, but number 3, I think, is a real doozy. It's going to kind of push your buttons a little bit and test you a little bit to kind of see really where you are about this quitting thing. If you're serious or you're just talking some talk. Tomorrow, that's definitely going to tell. Hope you guys have an awesome, awesome night. Take care, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.